Da-da-da. Okay, Nick Houston here for Gotham Sound and Communications NAB 2022 with Jeff Fiorino. Did I just butcher that? I'm sorry. I hope I didn't.
No, you said it right. Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness. It's been a long day. From Phonak
Yep.
And Diplex, right?
Yep.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
So we're live on the internet right now, so people watching at home or wherever you may be, if you have any questions for Jeff, please leave them in the chat.
Sure.
So I know it's been a minute since we've been able to hang out.
Yes. Yes.
So some new things have come out over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
We're familiar with them, but there are some features that people aren't overall familiar with.
Yeah, and I think just having some helpful hints as well, and
Sure.
certainly experience now that Roger's been out for a while successfully and installed successfully, then you find out these helpful hints from people. So I think it's nice to review those. So
Yeah, great. So first and foremost, I mean, you wanted to talk about availability of the earpiece. There are actually two different options.
Yeah, I mean, there's two colors. I don't think everybody always knows about that. We have a beige option here, and Nick is wearing the brown version.
I hope I'm doing that right.
Yeah, I mean, so
am I in the camera?
No, a little bit.
No.
This way.
There we go.
There you go.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's the brown.
Yeah. So I mean, I always like to tell people it's not so much always about skin tone. I think that the brown one, honestly, it kind of hides in the natural dark spot of our ear canal, anyways. So I think keep it open as an open mind on both color options. I think it can be talent oriented, but also just I think the brown option is a nice option. It's the same price, same availability, all the same. So I think it's just a nice option to keep in mind.
Yeah. You mentioned there was a police department that bought.
Yeah, I mean it was a police department that certainly different skin tone on every individual, and they went with all the brown ones because they found it blended it easier. So I do think it's quite discreet to have the brown one. So, and it's something that we weren't able to offer with our previous Invisity earpiece. So I think it's something that people always asked us about with the old one. So it's nice that we do have it now. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so let's just take a quick look at the product line, and then we can do some little tips and tricks that you have for us.
Sure. So just standard-wise, so we're going directly with an audio input from one of our three transmitter options, the traditional rack-mountable base station, Roger base station, where we have a 3.5 input, a 1/4-inch input, or an XLR input into the back.
And we unplugged it now because
we did unplug it. Yeah, we did unplug it. So that's your 3.5 right there. So that's our typical setup, especially for your studio setting. Of course, rack mountable. We do have side-to-side rack mounts as well that you can get, so you can do a dual. You can then also, in terms of just sort of more mobile options for transmitters, you have the Roger touchscreen mic. This can be a standalone microphone that can be worn around the neck. It does also have a 3.5 as well, so you are able to then transmit the audio directly from here to the earpiece. This could also accompany the base station as well. This is another hint that some people don't always know about, is that we're able to control the individual volume of the earpieces with this device. So you would bring it up, you would change the volume of one individual earpiece compared to the other. And we find sometimes that talent A may want it really high, the other one has sensitive ears, so they want it less. So typically, I think it's a nice option to have. You can also name each earpiece with this device, so just from a mixer or sound production standpoint, it's nice to be able to name them differently. This also can remotely bring in an earpiece into the network. So instead of having to bring an earpiece over to the base station to bring it into the Roger network, you can also bring this to the earpiece or to the talent, which I think is also helpful as a useful sort of tool in the bag of tools that we have here with Roger. So the third transmitter that we have is the Roger Multimedia Hub. It's a very simple transmitter. It just has a 3.5. Basically, the idea is just sort of a lesser priced option to transmit audio from here directly to the earpiece. We've kind of positioned it also as a potential tool to be used with existing IFB systems. So say if you're connecting to a Electrosonics belt pack where you've already got that UHF coverage in your facility or at your studio, you could simply tap into that, so out of their 3.5 or 2.5 into our device, and now you're going wireless to the earpiece. for us, it's always about being wireless and discreet so that the talent only has the earpiece on. That's the whole goal for us, right? So it's how do we get that audio going to that earpiece.
Right, so that could either be on talent or it could be hidden under a table with an IFB attached to it.
Exactly, yeah. Cool. And then as far as extending range, we still have a repeater. We can do unlimited repeaters per network ID. We can do unlimited receivers per transmitter as well, and we can have up to 20 different Roger transmitters in the same area with different feeds in it. So there's no overlap. How we achieve that is because each Roger transmitter has its own unique encryption ID, so it's not cross-talking with the other one. So it's nice. I think some people sometimes think, how you 2.4, is it going to overlap with other systems or vice versa? I think that in itself kind of proves what we're doing here is that it's very unique in each digital signature with each transmitter, actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you mentioned kind of an idea of like zone coverage. If you were working in multiple studios or there was a green room and this, that, and the other thing, that you could make, well, you tell me.
Yeah, I mean, sort of along that same lines of having an encryption key that we can clone the base station or any of our transmitters, where we extract the encryption key from one and put it into another. And what that allows us to do is have one base station with the same audio feed in room A, and then room B have that cloned transmitter in room B, so that when the talent goes from room A to room B, it's just a seamless walking from one area to another, and then you have that same wired feed where the talent isn't worrying about resyncing, or the mixer isn't worried about, how are they going to hear this. It's just a seamless, once it gets to the stronger transmitter, that's the audio signal it's picking up.
So instead of using a repeater to repeat the same signal, you could potentially have two different transmitters.
Exactly.
Either doing the same signal, or I guess if you're going from room A to room B, studio A to studio B, getting a completely different feed within studio B.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, you could end up wiring it so, like you said, it's actually a different feed in room B if you want, because obviously it might be a different feed that's required in that area. So yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, all right,
yeah,
cool.
There you go. There's a lot of options that we can do and a lot of versatility that we can do with our system.
Yeah. And I will say one of the things that is really nice about working with you specifically is that you are always available to kind of like work things out and lead people through what the different options are that they may not know.
Yeah, I'm always happy. I'm always available to help people out. With your staff or with your end users, I mean, I'm always happy to help out. So yeah, please, always reach out. Yeah, no problem there.
Cool. Anything else we should know before we get into questions?
So we are promoting for NAB and for Gotham Sound Expo 20% bundle packages.
Right. Yes.
Yes. So until the end of May, we're promoting that. So basically, 2 earpieces, 1 bass at 20% off. One multimedia hub, 1 earpiece at 20% off. So you'll see on your website and your promotion leading post and prior.
Earpiece.
Do have one question here. Have you
slipping out just a little bit.
Sorry about
so if we're going to
sorry
have any
about that.
questions,
Have you ever heard of people adding an overmold
to
your earpiece?
Joey or Jared or whoever is monitoring the feed, do we have any questions for Jeff?
Good question, and yes, we have. The problem with doing that is that typically then the earpiece is actually protruding out more out of the ear, because what you're doing is you're going to an audiologist, you're having your custom ear impression made for your specific ear canal, as well as your full concha typically, and then you're having to insert the earpiece within that mold. And so by the time you have the space of the silicone around the earpiece as well as then in your ear canal. Especially if you have a smaller ear canal, you're going to find that the earpiece is actually protruding out a little bit more. So one thing we haven't talked about is soft wraps, which is sort of a generic way of customizing and keeping our earpieces secure, which is that we're spiraling, it's a compli foam material, memory material, that you're simply just sort of spiraling around the earpiece, you squeeze it, and then you put it in your ear. What this does is just allows it to stay in your ear better, especially if the shoe has the talent moving around quite a bit. It does also sort of block your ambient sound, so you're actually increasing the volume by about 3 dB, we say. So that comes with a package of 10 comes with the earpiece standard nowadays. So I would suggest trying that before going down the road of a custom sleeve. Yeah.
I have also seen people will take the earbuds from a pair of earbuds, or like the little rubber part, and just jam it in there so that it's not custom, but it is something that there's a type of feel that has that to it. I mean, quite honestly, that's very comfortable as is. It's more comfortable than this.
Yeah. I mean, for us, the ergonomic curve, so we're going around the first bench of the ear canal, so we're getting pretty far to do what we want it to be, which is completely discreet and virtually invisible. So
no other questions now.
Find from a down shot, you see it. Basically, from the side shot, you really should see our earpiece.
Yeah.
So
it kind of defeats the purpose.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Any other questions from the internet? Okay, very good. Jeff, thank you so much.
Good
it's really pleasure seeing you again.
2 years it's been,
2 years.
so it's awesome.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see you again in a couple of weeks, right?
We'll be in New York. Yep.
Brilliant.
Yep.
Right. Well, as always, you can on Facebook and Twitter for all the